Do you ever feel like you are wasting your weekends when you could spend them meal prepping? You hear about this where people spend their weekends or their whole day on Sunday meal prepping and getting ready for the week. And even though that we have big plans to do this and we have big goals to do hours of meal prepping and create that menu and get everything prepped and ready for the week, when we get to the weekend, we are exhausted and we start finding distractions to procrastinate and keep us from getting these things done. But then at the end of our weekend, we look back and we are still exhausted. We have no energy. And now we feel completely unprepared for the week and guilty about how we spent our weekend. And we're going straight into a week feeling all of this pressure and just to repeat it the next weekend as well. So, if this is feeling like something that you're going through, we want to talk about how we can remedy this. And in order to do that, we need to look at a few key points. So, I have a few things to share with you today that I think is going to really help.
Are you ready to stop the chaos, the stress, the overwhelm that's filling your life? I'm Renee Matt, and together you and I are going to build simple routines that are going to change your life. When you put these habits into practice, you're going to be able to organize your life in a way where you can be there for your family, pay off your debt, save money, your house can stay organized, you don't have to stress about what's for dinner, and you still get time for yourself. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome to the Routine Advantage Podcast.
So, the idea for this episode came up because somebody in our community shared that she was feeling like she was wasting free days over the weekend, feeling like she should have been spending that time meal prepping. And what we want to kind of think about is what meal prepping actually means to you, first of all. Some people are going to say meal prepping is just knowing what they're going to have ahead of time. And some say that it's just kind of prepping a little bit and like maybe just ingredients, but not actually prepping the food. And then some people actually go through and actually cook full meals and then divide them up into containers so that they have a meal already made and all you have to do is reheat it. So this is the first thing is just to really understand what meal prepping means to you because that is going to vary based on each of us. We're all going to have a different vision of what meal prepping is and we can start simple. We do not have to go extravagant and do everything that we find videos and tutorials of all this big elaborate meal prepping. We don't have to start there. If we want a goal to get there, then great. But we don't have to start there. We can start by implementing very simple habits that help support these goals and help us feel prepared without feeling like we need to take hours over the weekend because we really do want to spend our weekends using it to have some fun and have some relaxation and just enjoy your weekends so that you can go into the week feeling prepared, having a plan, and knowing that you aren't just living for the weekend only to feel guilty over the weekends. Like, that's not what we want to do. We want to enjoy all parts of our week. And each habit that we put in place is going to help us do that if we're intentional about those habits. So you don't need to cook all of your protein ahead of time or spend hours prepping. What we really want to do is just learn how to be prepared for the week without feeling the guilt of not prepping for hours and hours over the weekend. We can do very simple things and still have similar results without the guilt. So, if you are too tired to meal prep over the weekend, but you're feeling guilty about it, I want you to try these things instead. So I have four main ones and then they break down into a little bit more information. So I hope it's not super confusing, but I wanted to just share these with you because I think they can be super helpful no matter what stage you are. Even if you are really good at meal prepping, maybe this will help you simplify it a little bit more and just focus on the mindset of meal prep instead of all of the technicalities. So, number one, I want you to focus on simplifying your meal planning routine. Now, this means that you have specific steps in order that you are doing, but you don't necessarily have to do them all at once. So I want you to think about that is just because it is a routine, it doesn't mean that it all needs to be done at one time. You can separate it. So I would suggest if you are feeling overwhelmed with this, simplify your meal planning routine into these four steps. So number one, you want to plan out your menu. Number 2, you want to create your grocery list. Number 3, you want to shop one time for the week. And number 4 is you want to wash and chop all of your produce that you can before you put it away when you get home. So think about those 4 steps. You could totally break them up into 2 or even 3 steps. You could do planning your menu, and then another time you could look at that menu, go through what you have in the house and create your grocery list. And then you could do your shopping and prep together. So that breaks it up into 3. You could also just break it up into 2 and keep it super simple. One day you are planning your menu and creating your grocery list, and then you have another day where you're going to do the shopping and the prepping. So you can do this how it works best for you, but I want to just really quickly kind of give you a simplified version of creating your menu or your meal plan for the week, because I think this is really important. And I do have previous episodes of like the system I use and all of that, but I just want you to know, like, just focus on planning your dinners first. This allows you to really look at the days that you're going to be home and you need to actually make dinner, and look at those. So you're going to look at your whole week at once, and then you're going to cross out any days that you don't need to make dinner. You're going to be out, you're going to have other plans, things like that. Just you can write on your menu, you can write night out, or you can write date night, whatever you're doing. Just write those in first, get them blocked off of your week, and then plug in any days that you want to make sure you're going to have leftovers, because this helps you to prepare and maybe make extra on a different night, because that is going to be a night where you're going to be either really tired from the week or you've had a busy day and you know that you're going to have very little time to eat anything or to cook anything, and then you're going to just be wanting to be prepared for that specific night. So maybe use that as a leftovers night where you don't actually have to go in and cook. You're really just kind of reheating things. So plug that in on a night that you know it will be nice to just focus on leftovers. And then you have your remaining days. Those are the days that you need to plug in dinners for. It makes it so much easier when you're not looking at trying to come up with 7, but all of a sudden maybe you're coming up with, 4 to 6, or maybe it's different. But that's what you're really looking at, is initially just looking at dinners. Then you can plan and just pull like 2 to 3 breakfast and lunch ideas and just spread them out throughout the week. And you can, rotate them however you want. You can do what works best for you. But that is just a really simplified way of meal planning that I like to use. And it just makes it really quick and easy. Then you create your grocery list based on everything that is on your menu, because we need to have a list so that we can focus on shopping just one time per week. All of those extra little stops at the grocery store, even though they might be quick, they do take time, and we usually end up spending more money than necessary because we end up doing impulse purchases because we see something that catches our eye, or we decide that we want some more snacks for the week. And all of a sudden, we're spending more money than we had intended to, too. So this is something that you can create your grocery list to cover the week. And then we're going to go into step 3, which is your shopping one time for the week. And that allows you to get everything home and get things prepped, which is step 4, before you put it into the fridge. And then you're going to be prepared. So now, when I say meal prep or like veggie prep, this is produce. I want you to focus on just prepping your produce first instead of prepping all of your meals, because just starting by prepping produce is going to help a ton. And if you are feeling overwhelmed with meal prepping to the point that you are just not doing it at all because you're avoiding it because it feels so overwhelming, start small. Start with just focusing on prepping your produce, because that alone is going to help you feel more prepared, and it's going to make cooking throughout the week much easier because you're already going to have all of your veggies and produce and fruits. You're going to have all of it already cleaned and even chopped in some cases, where all you have to do is really just toss it into what you're making, and you don't have to worry about all that extra stuff. And cooking at night doesn't feel so daunting. So this is something that you can really simplify simply by just focusing on prepping your produce and getting it into the fridge stored in a proper way. There are certain ways to store it, so you're going to want to look at that, but you're going to want to just prep your produce, get it into the fridge, and then you can focus on just executing your plan at that point for the week. And it takes minimal time. This could take you, depending on how much produce you buy, this could literally take you like anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes tops to get everything chopped. And if you want to do something different in your meal planning routine, go for it. But this is what I would recommend is just completely simplifying your meal planning routine to make it easier. The second tip I have for you is to focus on building simple meals with minimal ingredients. And with this, an additional tip is to also focus on meals that have similar ingredients, even if they're not the same thing. So, what you want to really look at is you want to have a supply of proteins, a supply of vegetables, and a supply of healthy carbs. And when you have these, you can build really simple meals that are versatile. So, when you have a variety of proteins and meats in the freezer, and then your fresh produce in the fridge, and then some carbs, maybe it's like potatoes or rice or, sourdough or something like that, sweet potatoes, you can build really simple meals with healthy whole food ingredients that are also really quick to make. So, you could do something that is like chicken and rice with some roasted broccoli and cauliflower. That's incredibly easy, and remember, your broccoli and cauliflower is already cleaned and chopped, so all you have to do is just toss it onto a sheet pan. You could also do like beef burritos with rice. You could do burrito bowls over rice. You could do grilled burgers with a side salad and some oven sweet potato fries. You could do a big garden salad with grilled chicken. Like you can build very simple meals by just using the basic protein veggie and then a carb if you want. So these are ways that you can simplify your meal planning and your cooking time each night, and it just makes the process very easy and less stressful. The third tip I have for you is to plan your meals according to your schedule so that little or no prep is needed. Now, this is where I'm looking at when you are building your menu for the week, focus on what you're actually doing that day. If you see that you're really busy, put the leftovers in that slot for meals that night. Or you can utilize quick dinners. So plug something on that night that you know is a really quick meal to make. And then you don't have to worry about trying to make this elaborate meal. You know this is going to be super quick and easy because you have a busier day that night. Or you can do crock pot meals and put it something in the slow cooker. So in the morning, before you even get started with your day, have something prepped so that you can pop it in the slow cooker and your dinner is taken care of. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is come home and eat when it comes time. You could also focus on actually making double of something a previous day and putting it in the freezer. So you could be making lasagna, you could be making, even pizza, like homemade pizza. You can freeze that before it's baked and bake it when it's ready. You could do soups or chili or extra taco meat and just freeze it. So then you have a really quick dinner to pull out later for those busier days where you can still have home cooked meals without actually having the stress of needing to cook a meal every single night. So, this is a really good way to plan your meals according to your schedule and also making sure that you have little to no prep. Because even if you're not making an entire meal, you could just make extra protein. So, if you're making chicken one night, see if you have other meals for chicken in the next couple of days or even throughout the whole week. And then you can make extra chicken because you're only cooking chicken once and then either, shred it and freeze it or put it in the fridge if you're going to be using it in the next day or two. And then you can have your chicken already ready to go and it simplifies the meals that are coming up. So, those are just some really easy ways to simplify what you're making to make it easier so that you're actually focusing on your meal prep throughout the week. And it's kind of always something that you're looking at and it becomes more of a habit rather than feeling like you need to take half of a day or even a full day over your weekend to try to prepare. We are just building in little habits throughout the week that help support this while we can still have our weekends for fun and relaxation. And then the fourth thing I have for you is to find a way to enjoy being in the kitchen so it feels like less work. So when we are stressed or not enjoying our time in the kitchen, it can feel like a hassle. It can feel like more work than is necessary. And what we want to do is we really want to find things that we enjoy doing. So we don't have to necessarily spend a lot of time in the kitchen, but when we do spend time in the kitchen, we can learn to enjoy pieces of it. So this might be like, okay, if I know I'm going to be cooking for a while, I'm going to go in and I'm going to start chopping and I'm going to plug in my earbuds and do an audiobook or a podcast while I'm chopping or listen to some music that I enjoy and just have fun with it. Go ahead and chop and do what you need to do and enjoy what you're listening to while you're doing it and just go through the motions with it. You could also turn on some jazz music and pour a glass of wine while you're making dinner and chatting with your spouse. Like those are things that you can do if you have the ability to do that. Like just make it more fun. You could also bring out some small cutting boards and ask your little ones to prep veggies with you. They don't have to be perfect to be prepping veggies. They can help you, chop things with a butter knife or one of those like non-sharp ones. Or if they're learning knife skills as they're older, maybe they're using a sharp knife and you're teaching them, and it's those moments that you have together. And it doesn't have to be stressful. It can be enjoyable. And sometimes you need a lot of extra patience. So this might be a learning process for both of you, but this is something that you can do to enjoy being in the kitchen and spend time together, or zone out like I said and listen to that audiobook or podcast and do your own thing. Another way that you can enjoy being in the kitchen is investing in a great chef's knife and YouTubing some like new chopping techniques if you want. One of the things that I really enjoy is that we did finally invest in a nice chef's knife and this huge like really heavy butcher block that just sits on our counter, and that's where we prep all of our veggies and everything now, and I absolutely love it. It just makes it's so nice to be able to go in and prep veggies. Like, that's one of my favorite purchases that we have done, I think, is that I know that when it comes time to go and, like, prep all of our veggies and produce and everything when I bring it home from the grocery store, I can clean it and I can go to prepping, and I have this nice big cutting board to be able to just chop everything up, and it just is kind of a fun thing that I enjoy prepping veggies more with it. I just do. So that is something that you might enjoy as well. So those are the four things. And I want you to really think about just taking little bits of this and spreading it throughout your week because it makes it so much easier. And then you don't have to spend so much time feeling guilty that you're wasting time on the weekends. This can truly become part of what you do. And it also makes it easier because you're only taking little blocks of time at a time. So you could do where you're, planning your menu, creating your grocery list at once, and then shopping and chopping produce the second time. And even the chopping the produce, it does not take long. You don't need to be spending 4 hours in your kitchen. You can spend 20 minutes just prepping some produce and then going on with your day. If you want to do this on a weekend, go for it, but you don't have to wait until the weekend to do this. Find a spot where you can plug it into your calendar throughout the week. So then your weekend is totally open and you don't have to feel guilty about not getting certain things done. You can actually just have some fun on the weekends and spend it with your family, not stressing about everything else that needs to be done and what you're not doing because you don't have the energy to do it. Focus your energy on the things that matter most. And you've already got something in place here where you are already prepared for the week and you don't have to stress about that. So it just makes it so much easier. And I hope that this helps you and that you can take something from this episode that will help simplify this meal planning process for you. So, what I would like to do is just really quickly recap this. I know it was a lot, but I'm going to really quickly recap it for you so that you can go through and see what you can make changes to help improve your process. So, number one, simplify your meal planning routine. Focus on planning your menu for the week, then create your grocery list, shop one time for the whole week, and then get home and wash and chop your produce. And like I said, do it all at once or spread it throughout the week if you need to, but whatever you need to do is just simplify the process, but you can divide it if you need to. The second tip was to focus on building simple meals with minimal ingredients. Pick a protein, then a veggie, and then a carb. So have a variety of meat and proteins on hand, have a variety of produce, and then have a variety of your healthy carbs. And then number three is to plan your meals according to your schedule so that little to no prep is needed, especially on those busy nights. And number four is find a way to enjoy being in the kitchen so it feels less like work. So I hope you enjoyed that episode. And if you need help building more routines, like whether it is this meal planning routine or your other routines, like your morning routine or your daily 7 home routine, your budget routine, your movement routine, those are the 5 foundational routines that I talk about here on the podcast. But if you're wanting help building those routines, check the show notes and see how I can help you because there are resources available to help you get these things in place. And then if you are wanting to kind of look back at our previous episodes, you can go into your podcast app and scroll through the episode list to find other meal planning and meal prep episodes to help with this. But what you could also do is join our Facebook community, which is facebook.com/groups/the routine advantage community, which is also in the show notes if you want a direct link to it. But if you go in there and you can go to the very top of the group in the pinned posts, there is an episode library, and this allows you to open it up and use the search function to actually search like meal or menu or any keyword that you are looking for. If it was in the title, it will pop up and highlight in that episode library so that you can very quickly find the episodes that you're looking for, and then you know where you're going rather than having to scroll through all of the episodes on your podcast app. Although you're welcome to do that as well if you want to. But either way, the show notes is a really great resource to show you exactly what is available to you, how to contact us if you want, how to join our free community, and all the things. So I hope you take a look at that and check it out. Otherwise, I will see you back here on the next episode.
Did you love that episode or learn something useful? If so, would you do me a huge favor? My goal is to grow this podcast and help as many women as I can break free from the overwhelm so they can truly enjoy their life. The best way for me to do this is for you to leave a 5-star written review on your podcast app and to share this episode with a friend or in your Instagram stories. I appreciate you being here. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you on the next episode. Take care.